Frank, good afternoon. I'm just trying to understand. Is my talk today? I was intended to speak on November, but I just want to see if I schedule it for today.
Um, yeah, it's for the 11th. Is that the one designing for scalable and resilience, database architecture patterns, and Microsoft Fabric?
Yeah, I see it. I mean, oh, okay. So 11/10 means it's not like November 10th, but it is supposed to be like October 11th.
It's
Mm,
it's European
Okay.
date,
Yeah,
right?
my apologies. I was looking for November 10th. My apologies.
no,
When everyone submitted, I mean, I'm in USA, so when everyone submitted, I thought it's like November 10th
yeah,
schedule.
that's no problem. We can reschedule it if you're not ready. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I just saw your email, then I'm like, okay, maybe you have something going on, so I just joined the call while I'm driving.
Yeah.
So how long is this talk for?
You're
Um,
you're welcome to talk for as long, up to what, 20 minutes, Frank, typically?
yeah, about 20 minutes, but we can go over. Um,
Okay.
there's no problem. Like we had um, a show there 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it went for 2 hours because we had about six speakers on. So we're flexible. So
Okay.
if you want to do a half an hour, 45 minutes, that's no problem.
Okay.
So I'll reschedule it on the Excel sheet. Or you have access to the Excel sheet anyway, don't you?
Okay. So I can do one thing. Like, I mean, I recently spoke about. I recently gave a talk about the Medallion architecture at the Data Summit 2025 here in Boston, Massachusetts. So if you are okay, maybe I can present that one. I don't want
Sure.
to again say like I am not available. But again, I apologize. Maybe I should have checked about the dates. I thought like it's US standards. Then that's the reason.
Yeah,
Frank,
that's okay. If you
that's
want to do
you
if
might
you
want
want
to.
to do a talk in that there after Dan, you're okay. You have
Yeah,
those slides, have you?
So just give me some time, okay? I'm actually
Yeah,
5 minutes away from my home, so I'm
sure.
gonna go and join from my laptop. And then
Grant,
I'll
that's
give a
okay.
20 minutes talk on the Medallion architecture.
Yeah, very good.
Yep.
So yeah, Dan will carry on there anyway.
okay.
I'll just put up your screen there.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, let me know if there's anybody else that has topics. Feel free if you're in StreamYard to use the comment feature in StreamYard to communicate with Frank or OPME Stephen or others, and arrange who's going next or those kind of things. So the other thing that I have on this, because it's a Surface, it's a Surface Studio 2 28-inch Surface device, is I also have the ability to use the Whiteboard app. I know recently one of the people that I have worked with has used the Whiteboard for various tools. So I have here a brainstorming board, and I could do things like prompt folks for problems in Teams meetings. And maybe as a group, I want to get a sense for what types of things go wrong in the average Teams meeting. I can share a link to my whiteboard, so I can share this with others. And then I could have people collaborate with me on this as opposed to it just being my whiteboard. And I could say, just recently at work, we had some mute unmute issues. And then maybe somebody else points out room reservations. I popped into a room at work on Friday or Thursday and didn't realize that the room that showed green, that it was available, was only available for half an hour. And I was planning to be in the room for an hour. So that example was on me, not on the person who scheduled it in a half an hour from when I started. So I got about half of my meeting done in the room that I was expecting. And then maybe the third thing is video on and unaware can happen, especially in Microsoft Teams. They introduced a feature called Hide Me or Hide You and your video from your Teams display. If you're self-conscious about having to watch yourself the entire time on a screen, such as we have to do when we're using the Azure and AI show or StreamYard, my video is on a separate screen from the screen that I'm sharing right now. But if I look over at that screen, I'm looking at myself. Teams introduced a capability to hide your video from you, and that has the potential issue or side effect of you might forget that you're on video and do something either embarrassing or eating a lunch or taking a drink or something else that would be maybe more appropriate to do when you're not on camera. So I'm using the scroll wheel on my mouse to make everything a little smaller, and then I'm using the touch screen to move things around. I can pinch and zoom around my brainstorming board, and I can add in additional stickies. I can duplicate the stickies. I can paste the stickies. There's all sorts of things that you can do, even resizing the stickies with my handwriting in the whiteboard app from Microsoft. So here's just a few of the things that I've discovered in Windows 11. That is the supported version of Windows going forward, and kind of making it look like Windows 10. And some of the apps that I have used recently also include Copilot. So maybe in a future episode, Frank, we could talk about some of the AI enhancements that I have discovered with Copilot. Most recently, I used this to create myself a video for use at work about things that go wrong in Teams meetings. So coming off mute at the wrong time, sharing the wrong screen, having something pop up on the screen that might be embarrassing. Instead of having to come up with examples maybe from real meetings that may or may not have involved me, it was a video that Copilot created for me to showcase some of those things and then maybe give some corrective actions. And so with that, I'll finish things up and turn things over to our next presenter.
Okay. I'm not sure if Henry, you have anything for us this week, or will I just carry on? Or we have Raj here.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
So we're using StreamYard. Do you know how to add your screen to the...
You can add slides or you can add your screen, whatever is easier.
So I cannot share my screen?
You can share your screen.
Yeah. So when Raj is finished, I'm going to show people how they can get a free Microsoft certification, 100% free certification, but you have to do a small little bit of work and it's a bit of study. So I'm going to show you that later. And I have an interesting topic there on agent mode. It's a new Microsoft thing that was launched recently, and I'm going to show you how to use it inside of Excel. So Raj, just over to you there if you want to share your screen with us.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it there now. We can see it up on the screen. Building a unified medallion architecture in Microsoft Fabric from raw data to AI ready insights. Very interesting. Raj, thanks very much for joining us.
Just give me a minute. I would like to. Who? Okay. Okay. This is a wrong presentation. My apologies on that. So I'd like to bring up another presentation. So this is pretty much similar in context. So hope you can see my screen.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, what's your time zone there? Is it like afternoon or is it evening?
it's here. I'm here in Ireland, and it's 18 minutes past 7.
Okay.
And
And I'm in
Steve,
the US. I'm in Chicago. Steven's in the
UK.
UK.
Okay. Good. Okay. Good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. So the title of today's talk is Future Proofing Data Warehousing. So this session is about rethinking how we design, model, and integrate data architectures so they can withstand not just today's requirement but also tomorrow's unknowns. So we'll explore like how modern paradigms like the Medallion architecture, cloud native modeling, and the real-time integration can be applied to build resilient, scalable, and AI-ready data platforms. Here is a quick snap about me. So before we get started into the technical content, I would like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Rajesh Boyala. I'm a principal data architect working at a global data recovery company. I lead the cloud data warehouse modernization using Microsoft Fabric. Have 10 years of experience working across different industries such as finance, logistics and transportation, marketing, healthcare, and nonprofits. My specialization is in building cloud native data platforms that supports reporting, analytical, and AI readiness. And I have experience in enterprise data modeling and data governance. I'm an active contributor in industry forums, editorial boards, and technical conferences. I'm passionate about bridging data architecture, business strategy, and real world scalability. And today, I'm excited to share practical lessons and architecture patterns that I have found critical for future proofing data warehousing, especially in the face of fast moving technology and evolving user expectations. So in the slide, whether you're here to future-proof your analytics, enable AI, or just clean up your stack, you're in the right place. So my goal is to give you practical insights, toolkits, and examples that you can bring back to your own ecosystems. And just to make sure, like this is not a tooling session. It's more about aligning strategy, architecture, and AI readiness. So the first point is avoid technical debt. So we'll look at design decisions, especially in modeling and architecture, that reduce rework and long-term risk. And I will show how clean layering and modern integration help teams move faster from raw data to actionable intelligence. And then we'll explore how to structure your data foundation to support machine learning and generative AI downstream. And then in the end, we will look at instead of chasing tools, we'll focus on patterns and principles that work regardless of platform rebranding. So, what is future proofing? So, future proofing used to mean scalability, but now it includes being AI ready. So, the first question to all of us is our architecture just serve the dashboards, but does it also serve the data for Gen AI and machine learning pipelines? So we'll cover how to design with that in mind. When future proofing a data warehouse, the goal is to build a platform that remains relevant, resilient, and adaptable as technology, business needs, and data volumes evolve. In other words, future proofing means planning for schema changes, any new data sources, real time demands, and integration with AI without constant rework. So there are few aspects to consider. The first one is scalability. So the scalability is to support growing data volumes, users, and workloads without redesign, where we use cloud native platforms like Microsoft Fabric, Snowflake, Databricks, BigQuery. They are pretty much about decoupled storage and compute. So the question that we should ask when we are working on architecture is my architecture is going to handle 10 times the data volume or the user demand without a redesign? And the second step is modular, independent, and interchangeable components. So each piece can evolve, scale, or be replaced without impacting the entire system. But in components that can evolve independently, so no more monolithic or brittle systems. And we can also look at the flexibility aspect, which is like easily adapt to new tools or technologies or requirements. And then we have to consider about isolation systems or sources within the data. So a change in one upstream area, example any ingestion or modeling or reporting, we don't want anything in the downstream to break. And then the most important one is reusability. So common logic or components can be reused across projects or domains. And the other one is faster innovation, right? So teams can work in parallel on different parts of the stack. So the third aspect in the future proofing data warehousing is interoperable and tool agnostic. So we don't want to be locked into one single vendor. The architecture can integrate across multiple tools from different providers and teams. We can also use like open formats like Parquet, Delta, and Apache Iceberg, and any API friendly designs. So this will enable us to be compatible across different programming languages or tools like SQL, Python, Spark, and any other reporting and BI tools and ML platforms. And the most important one is security. So security isn't just a compliance checkbox, right? So it is foundational to trust, scale, and also for AI readiness. So some of the key consideration in security are like a role-based access control. Can we enforce fine-grained access at the schema, table, and column level? And then attribute-based access control. So can we dynamically restrict access based on our user attributes, example, department and region? And data masking and tokenization. Can we protect sensitive fields like PII, PHI while still enabling analytics and modeling? And the last one is like end-to-end encryption. We can encrypt data in transition or when it's in transit and then at rest using any industry standards. So AI ready means that we have to ensure curated data is accessible and well governed for the model training and scoring. So in this slide, I would like to present about what are the differences, like how the legacy architecture was and how the modern architecture is evolving. So in the legacy data warehouse, they were built in for control, whereas today platform are built for change. So with cloud native solutions, decoupled compute and storage, and ELT, we have entered a more flexible era if we can embrace it. So where the legacy is tightly coupled, static and brittle, we used to see like monolithic ETL pipelines, rigid schemas, limited scalability, and any schema change or business logic update break multiple downstream reports. And then it's mostly batch based, where the delays insights by hours or even days, whereas the modern architecture is layered, it's modular, and it's cloud native. So the medallion architecture separates raw, clean, and curated data. It decoupled compute and storage and elastic scalability on demand, whereas it also supports both real-time and batch ETL, and it can easily integrate with AI and ML pipelines. and the tooling evolution, right? So whereas for legacy, we used to see like custom SQL scripts and ETL tools like Informatica, Data Stage, and so on and so forth. Whereas the modern stack uses DBT, Spark, Delta Lake, notebooks, and semantic models. So now the data engineers can easily collaborate with analysts and other data scientists in a shared environment. So it's not like a bottleneck at the resource level. And the other part is like, so in the past, like all the legacy systems were IT owned business or black boxes. So who knows about data? It is only the IT team that knows the data within the organization. Whereas the modern platforms, it actually democratize the data with the access and governance, where anyone from the business can self-service and look at the data points like what they can use for the reporting. So the bottom line in the slide is legacy systems were built for scalability, whereas the modern architecture is designed for adaptability, speed, and AI readiness. So what is medallion architecture? Medallion architecture is a design pattern within Lakehouse architecture where it supports or ensures data quality, traceability, and reusability across both analytics and operational workload. And if you want to explain in a simpler term, it is a logical layering pattern. So it is not like a physical thing that we can see or where we can look into it, where it's more like a logical layering of how you organize the data. And there are like three different layers. As you all know, it's bronze, silver, and gold that sits on top of a data lake or lake house. And that's how we organize data in increasingly defined stages. So it's tightly aligned with lakehouse principles like schema evolution, asset transactions, unified batch plus streaming, and it is widely implemented on platforms like Data Lake, in Databricks Lakehouse, Apache Iceberg, and Microsoft Lakehouse. And what does the each layer have? Let's look into this. Okay. So the first layer, which is the source. The source can be whether it's a file or whether it can be a database table or an event. And then as we look into it, it's the bronze layer. So what is a bronze layer? So it is a raw data store, and the data will be as is ingested from the source system. The purpose of this bronze layer is to preserve the original data for traceability and reprocessing, and it also provides a single source of data truth. And what are some of the tasks that we can do in this layer is we can do like basic ingestion, we can do like schema inference, and the file format standardization example is like to delta or to parquet format. So CDC is typically implemented in the bronze layer, and the CDC means like we capture any inserts, updates, and deletes from source systems and store them in raw form, preserving the full data history. And this will help us in the downstream layers like silver and gold to apply business tools for updates or any deletions. And we can also maintain audit trails, or we can do time traveling, and then it will support the reprocessing when logic changes. So the second layer here is silver layer. Silver layer is for cleaned, joined, and conformed data. So the purpose for this layer is we will apply business rules, typecasting, deduplication, and a differential integrity. And we will create domain-specific tables, like we can have all the customer tables in a customer domain, and all the order tables in the order domain, and all the shipment tables in the shipment domain. So the basic task that we can do in this layer is to join bronze sources and remove and fix any for remove nulls or fix any formatting issues, and we can confirm dates or times, and it's standardized codes like the gender type, the product type, or any of the currency codes. And next we go into the gold layer. So what is a gold layer? So it is more of a aggregated, curated data for downstream consumption. So the purpose is to power dashboards or to create the KPIs and also to source the data for ML models. So this layer is optimized for speed, clarity, and consistent for end users. Some of the tasks that what we can do in this layer is to calculate the metrics, example, revenue for a given store or for a given product, and what is the customer churn rate, and then we can create dimensional models like star schema models, and then we can also feature engineering for AI or ML pipelines. So this layered flow, it will help us to improve the data quality and auditability. It encourages reuse of logic and supports both BI and AI seamlessly. So as I talked about the modeling, so we can here look at so data modeling. We will be doing this modeling in the gold layer, mostly the star schema and the snowflake schema. So what this will allow us is to the modeling will help us to translate the raw data into business logic. So if we skip this and the AI models or any of the downstream reporting and analytics will inherit the same inconsistencies and the data discrepancies within the data. However, if you get your model right and your warehouse becomes a foundation for scale. A well-structured data model acts like a blueprint and insurance policy for your warehouse. It will enable agility, trust, and long-term adaptability. So, the thoughtful data modeling basically lays the foundation for scalable, trusted, and explainable AI. And there are a few advantages where you can see if we have a star schema model where the fact table is connected directly to multiple denormalized dimension tables. It is used for reporting analytics where performance is critical, whereas the snowflake is a central fact table connected to normalized dimension tables, which are further broken down into subdimensions, and it is ideal for complex data models with multiple hierarchies and relationships. So the data doesn't live in one place. Means integration is key, right? So whether it is ELT pipelines or reverse ETL and the semantic consistency, allow your systems to talk to each other and your data to flow with integrity. We are in a phase where we move from ETL to ELT in the cloud, like where we extract, load raw data first and then transform it within the scalable engines like Fabric, Snowflake, or BigQuery. The ELT is faster, it's more flexible, and aligns with Medallion architecture, where transformation happens at the silver and gold layers. And we also have like real time plus reverse ETL, which is supported by the modern platforms. With the real time data ingestion examples are like Event Hub or IoT, and the reverse ETL pushes curated data back into the apps like Salesforce, enabling operational decision making with analytics grade data. And then what is semantic layer? So the semantic layer is a abstract complexity for end users. It basically hides all the technical details like raw tables, joins, SQL queries, or data transformations, and it will present the data in a simple business friendly terms. Where we can define consistent metrics and KPIs once used across Power BI and ML models, and it is critical for trust, self-service, and aligning BI needs. So the bottom line in the slide is the integration isn't just about pipelines; it's about delivering the right data in the right form to the right user at the right time. Here I have a case study. It's a real world case study about AP Pension, which is a customer owned pension provider based in Denmark with more than 100 years of service within the industry. The company focuses on responsible, sustainable investments while delivering long term value and financial security for its members. AP Pension needed a more agile and scalable data platform to meet evolving business needs. So the problem they were facing is decades of fragmented business and investment data across siloed systems. Legacy infrastructure created technical debt, inconsistent access, and delayed reporting. And the analysts lacked a unified view, causing slow time to insight and a high compliance overhead. So the approach, what they have done is they have built a medallion architecture, as you can see on the screen, from bronze, silver to gold. In Microsoft Fabric, the automated creation of 40 plus workspaces, and they have created hundreds of shortcuts using Microsoft APIs that enable them to secure co-creation via function workspaces with warehouses, and semantic models. And they implemented Power BI right back and Fabric SQL DB for real-time governed data updates. So the result, what they have seen is 70% of reduction in manual data delivery steps via automation and shortcut governance. They now have real-time access to curated data for financial and investment teams. They enabled secure collaboration across roles with controlled workspace roles and at the time of ingestion. And then now they have delivered a platform for write back analytics, improving the responsiveness and regulatory compliance. So this is a real world case study that I researched on. Using the implemented the data, the Medallion architecture in a real world. So in this slide, it shows the major architecture patterns used in modern cloud data platforms, along with tools and providers commonly aligned with each approach. But remember, the future proofing isn't about the logo; it's about designing systems that evolve with you. So the key is no one size fits all, right? So choose based on your company business goals, skill sets, and scalability needs. So I don't want to read through each and every tool, but yeah, you can look into it. Okay. Why Microsoft Fabric compared to other platforms? So I have worked in Fabric in the last two companies that I've worked in. So based off my experience that I have created this presentation. What I have sensed is that Fabric, it simplifies the stack. So modular platforms offer flexibility. However, the right choice depends on you, right? So what I have seen is that choose Fabric if you want to fully integrated all in one SaaS platform, where you can also have like a seamless Power BI and Microsoft ecosystem experience and a rapid deployment with minimal infrastructure management. You can also choose other platforms or alternatives if you need like multi-cloud flexibility or open source standards, or where you can use like deep customizations and tool specific capabilities, or where you would like to have like an independent control or orchestration, compute, and security. So it really depends upon what is your company need or your team need, and you can basically look at the tools that you would like to. Okay. If you don't know like where your data came from or who owns it, you cannot trust it. So the metadata management, it's not optional. It is the glue that enables governance and quality and a traceability. So this slide talks about governance, builds trust by defining ownership, access, and data quality standards. When we talk about data quality, often people think that it is one team responsibility. No, it is not a one team or one time step. It is layered. Each stage of the Medallion architecture reinforces trust by applying quality checks appropriate to the data's maturity. So where in the bronze layer we can validate structures and we can preserve original data fidelity. Where some of the common checks that what we can implement is schema validation. Does the data match the expected schema? Is it null or any corrupt record? We can detect it. We can also do like file format integrity, example valid JSON or Parquet format, and we can also look at timestamp or ingestion completeness. And also we can also implement or check on some basic ingestion failures or duplication flags. Whereas in the silver layer, some of the common checks that we have implemented is deduplication. We check for deduplication, and we check for data type enforcement or any normalization. We can check for date time standardization. We check for any range or outlier checks, and for any threshold checks, for any default substitutes. In the gold layer, where we work on metrics and KPIs, we can check for like KPI consistency, whether the total revenue is equal to sum of the parts, or we can look for aggregation accuracy, whether is my groupings correct, or the totals correct, or the dimensional joints accurate. And we can also implement the business rule validations with the customer. Churned is equal to no purchase in 90 days, and then the trend anomaly detection is like sudden drop in the counts. What I would like to say is like, metadata provides that context and what the data means, where it come from, how it was transformed. So without the metadata, even clean data can lead to confusion or misuse. The lineage and cataloging tools like Microsoft Purview or Colibra or some of the other industry tools can help us to trust and verify the data. It's not about the control, it's about enabling safe, confident, self-service data for the downstream. And if we don't have like no governance within the team, and we cannot trust our data, especially in an era where like AI and analytics will help us to make those business decisions. Again, like so future proofing, it's not just for scale, right? It's for but for regulation. So when we look into the future proofing of data warehousing, we should also bake in the privacy and security from day one, where implementing the fine grained access, looking at the audit logs, encryption. So the goal is flexibility without exposure, right? As I said in the previous slides, security isn't just a compliance checkbox; it is foundational to trust, scalability, and AI readiness. So including security in your future proofing strategy ensures the warehouse is not only scalable and flexible, but also safe, compliant, and enterprise ready. I have a few more slides, that talks about how what will be the future, So it's about AI is transforming the data platforms by automating critical operations and enhancing the performance, trust, and decision making. I don't want to go into details about like what the what will be the future, but I just want to run through these slides quickly. Um, what are some of the pitfalls and myths, more data is better decisions. Oftentimes we feel that if there is more data, we feel that it's going to help us with better decisions. So without the context, without the quality or governance, more data doesn't mean better decisions. It means more noise. You have to manage that volume of data, and you have to run your analytics on top of it. And oftentimes we also hear from the management, higher management, that buying tools solve the strategy. Again, tools amplify design, they don't replace it, right? So we should invest in proper data modeling, proper data architecture, and proper data governance and strategy first before we go for a specific tool stack. And I hear this a lot of time that skip data modeling, it's taking up a lot of time, and instead we can move faster. But if you don't have a proper data model, then it leads to a technical debt, and it will be like a poor design, and then you have to rework, come back and rework on your database design again. One of the classic examples is I work for a company where their data warehouse have around 40,000 tables. So that can give you the context where, like, if there is no proper database design and no modeling standards or architecture standards that are properly implemented, there is data duplication, there is data redundancy, and end of the day, you don't have control over your data, and you cannot trust if the analytics or reports that what you're looking at are accurate or inaccurate. And the last one, like we oftentimes hear that one size fits all architecture, right? So if someone thinks that, okay, we are in finance and there is another financial company that goes for Snowflake, so let's go to Snowflake or let's go to Microsoft Fabric. It doesn't work like that. So every use case is different, every business is different. So you have to be flexible, and you have to look at what are your use cases and go with the tool stack that is more aligned for your company needs. So in the next 2 to 3 slides, I would like to just show that I created a quick self-assessment tool, where you can run with your team, and each check is a level for scalability, trust, and AI enablement. So if in the end, if you have time, maybe I can share those slides with you guys. So some of the key takeaways of this session is about, decision, I mean, design the decisions, that gonna outlast, because if you can invest in structure, or not just software, you can see better results in the end. And then you can also look at the reliability solutions or designs when you're working on your data warehouse. And a well-modeled data builds a lasting value for analytics and AI. And then the layered approach, this flexible systems, that adapt faster to change and scale more easily. And the most important thing is like plan for evaluation, whether you're creating a database schema or an AI model or some complex report, you should also plan for evaluation. What kind of things that I can include or that I can expect in the next 6 months to 1 year, so that I can plan for those things. So the thing that what we have to do is, like, we have to ask ourselves, as an architect, or a developer, is my warehouse AI ready by design, or am I just gonna rely on tools that's gonna compensate the need in the downline in the over the time. So thank you again for joining the session. Here are the slides, that I would like to show. So the first checklist is about architecture and modeling. So is your company using a layered approach, or if the platform supports scalable and compute and decoupled storage? Is your data warehouse cloud native and modular in design? And do you have a documented plan for schema evolution? And the second one is, like, how you do the data modeling. So the second slide is more about integration and metadata governance. And the third slide is about security and compliance and AI readiness. All
Very,
right.
very good, Raj. Very interesting presentation for me, anyway. I'm just wondering, any of the guys there have any questions there for Raj?
Great presentation. I don't
Thank
have
you.
any questions necessarily, but really enjoyed it.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
and it really shows kind of what's under the hood in the AI infrastructure, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
That slide there about the pitfalls and things like that, and very interesting. Where quantity over quality, you know, people think that too much data, the more data you get, the better. Not really. Quality is
Mm,
better. Yeah, for sure.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, that's great. Satya, are you with us?
Yeah, yeah, Frank. Are you able to hear me,
Yeah, we can
everybody?
hear you
Yep.
fine.
Yeah, let me start share my
Sure,
screen. You
sure.
know,
Yeah, I'm gonna drop off now, Frank. I need to head out, but again, thank you
Yeah,
so much for the opportunity, and thank you everyone for joining
yeah.
today. So
I'm, I'm,
um,
I- I'm
I'm
looking,
I'm
I'm
working on
looking
a
forward
demo.
to, I'm looking forward to your next presentations. Very
Sure.
interesting stuff.
Yeah, I'm working on a demo right now, so I'm gonna in my next presentation, maybe I will be able to share how we can actually implement the medallion architecture in the
Yeah,
Microsoft
yeah.
Fabric and creating the pipelines with some sample data. We can just run some tests through. But
Very good.
yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
are
thank you. To our
everybody able
nice
to see my
conversation.
screen?
So,
Yeah, I can see your screen there, Satya.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, guys. So thank you for this opportunity, Frank. And first of all, I'd like to thank. Apologies, I didn't understand the time zone correctly, so I couldn't join for first 15 minutes. But anyway, I'll Okay, a little about me right now. This is Satya. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon because I'm from US. Okay, so I'm in a different time zone. I hope everybody is doing good, great today. Cool. And a little about me. I'm Satya Mudada, and I'm a hybrid cloud architect. From uh, who works from IBM USA, and I'm pretty much specializing in enterprise cloud architectures, and AI infrastructures and hybrid cloud solutions. And I'm passionate about helping people, organizations scale their AI initiatives through optimized cloud native architectures. So today our session talks about more about the LLM infrastructure challenge. So I hope everybody went through or understood a brief about what is this large language models, where this paradigm came from, right? Now let me take it just as a brief for 5 minutes of time to understand, give you some background about LLM. Large language model, which is nothing but an LLMs, are a paradigm shift in the ability of AI, changing how the human language is processed and created by machines. So here we are talking about a couple of models, like a Chat GPT. We have a GPT model, Llama model, and Falcon. You know, which have incredible competences when it comes to the advanced linguistic functions from translations to coding. Everybody able to hear me clearly, or I'm just hearing some background noise? I'm sorry.
yeah, we can hear you. I think it's fine.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So the computational requirements, briefly, the computational requirements of the systems, however, has poses some deeper, unprecedented challenges to the infrastructure deployments. So today I'm going to talk about this infrastructure challenges of LLM, how we are going to tackle it, and how we can architecture or solutions so that those are future ready and fault proof, right? So. Uh, let's dive deep into the session roadmap. I have my session primarily talks about you know LLM architecture fundamentals, Azure's high performance infrastructures and orchestrations and elasticity, MLOps for production LLMs, and practical implementation frameworks. Okay, so when it comes to the LLMs, right, here we are talking about Chat GPT. If we are saying GPT, the large language model, which is under the hood, is doing a lot of shift, right? And this LLM is having a almost like every LLM is doing a billions of parameters, is having a billions of parameters. Now, fundamentally, what happens in terms of for any LLMs, right? There are three things that primarily matters when it comes to the LLM architectures. So one thing is compute compute, memory, and network. So everybody talks very high about compute intensity and memory requirements, but sometimes we deal with we pay less attention towards network bandwidth, right? So but my point is network is primarily is as important as you talk about compute and memory. Without network, you will not do the inferences on a high throughput, and you will not get a low latency interconnects between the compute nodes. So when it comes to the compute intensity, right? So as I mentioned, the GPT model, primary models, if you look at the stats, right, the GPT-3 needs almost like 355 GPU years of compute time. So imagine how much time it is going to take to do a compute on the one large models. So do we have that kind of compute capacity? And do we have the memory requirements? Yes, we do. These public cloud providers, especially the AI, Azure, has a predominantly addressed these challenges in terms of computing, memory requirements, and networking bandwidth. And in terms of memory, right, we have a large models which has exceeded single GPU memory, and we need a specific memory constraints, right, which can be shared across distributed infrastructure, which is essential in when deploying these models to a production ready. So let's just start understanding about dive deep about compute memory and networking. Okay, what are the options we have in terms of in Azure, when it comes to the compute, right? So they have a high performance compute options, NVIDIA A100, which provides us the 40 GB high bandwidth memory optimized, which is optimized for training, and NVIDIA high 10 next gen architecture with the transformer engines and the custom silicon chips, that are Azure special, which are definitely suited for Azure, especially AI accelerators. And memory. These are the some of the compute options which Azure will be providing it. So I'm sorry. So in terms of networking, right? Networking. What are the primary layers that provides by Azure is InfiniBand that has a primary 200 Gbps interconnect space, which suits distributing training workloads. Let's just go about scalable storage architectures. So here uh, we first talked about the three layers of fundamental three layers of the infrastructures, right? Compute, storage, compute memory, and networking. Primarily in data life cycles, what happens is the storage plays a vital role, because when you look at the data life cycle, what happens is you get the data from different streams, you store the data, and for storing the data you are looking out for petabytes of scalings, and even you are not fixed to a one type of storage types, right? You are looking at a multiple ways of storing the data. So Azure provides a different types of storage options. So when it comes to Azure, right, what are our available storage options? So the blob storage, it can do a petabyte scalings of data for training data sets with the different layers of types, hot layer, cool layer, and archive layer. Because what happens when you build the data lake, right? Each and every data lake will have a three layers: raw, refine, and then consumed, right? So the raw layer is where the data is getting dumped from a different streams. When you have this hot layers of the data, right, where uh, petabytes of data coming from different sources, you can't just scale. You need to have a scaling capacity. You don't need to have a fixable storage fixable storage there. So that's where blob storage plays a vital role in terms of defining a data lake for our data life cycles policies. So next, the compute, which has a premium SSDs, which provides us the high IOPS storage for active training data, and as well as model checkpoints, right? So once the data has been stored there, it's not only always the data lake where we do a batch inferencing. It's, you have a real-time inferencing, right? So in real-time inferencing, right, what happens is you have a compute that has been attached to a disk. So you always fetch the data from the disks, right? And you're looking at an options where I will be having I require a high IOPS, yeah, high up storage for active training data model checkpoints. And Azure provides that premium SSDs options. Now, in terms of other memory optimizations, right? Azure's having a bit a separate layers of memory optimized VMs that specifically suits our needs of infra LLM deployments, which offers this large in-memory data sets for faster data access during training. So as I told you, right, in terms of model layers, right, when you do a real-time inference on any of the data, you're looking at large data sets, right, that requires a fast data access, because this is a real-time area. You are fetching the data in a real time, and you are seeing you need to get the responses back in a minute times. That's where it requires as memory optimized VMs as well. So what is the major critical uh, you know uh, training strategies, distributed training strategies we are going to talk about is data parallelism. So each and LLM model will have a billions of parameters. So when you do a inference on this billion parameters, right? How the data will need to be parallelized, or parallelized between different compute instances and different memory instances, right? So you that that training strategies. This slide primarily talks about this, distributed training strategies. One is a data parallelism, where you split the data across multiple GPUs while replacing the model. So the model can be replaced. You have plenty of options where, if you look from the Azure perspective, right, we have a GPT model, Llama model, Falcon model. The same model, uh, differs from in a different cloud vendors. Amazon has a Nova models, right, where the data will be parallelism. What it means, right, it will be distributed us across multiple GPUs. Will we replace the model can be replaced at any point of time. Okay, this model is specifically going to do a specific set of functions, like only image processing. So if I want an image and content generation, right, I may go for a different model, but that model has a billion parameters, compared to my previous model. Does my infrastructure is capable of tackling that billion, a huge model which has a billion parameters? I should be future ready, and I should not be uh, you know uh, that time point of time at that point of time I should not be able to, okay, oh no, I have to go back and then spin up or add a few disks to support it, to support my model. Now you should be having a future ready. You should have some strategies in place where it should be automatically do capable of this parallelisms, model parallelism and pipeline parallelism. If we go and talk about model parallelism, right, what is that model parallelism means? Partitioning these large models across multiple devices when they exceed a single GPU memories. Because every memory at the end of the day, every GPU's graphical processing units, right, as a dedicated memory. If they have some certain limitations, right? So if it should not cross if we go beyond that, exceeds, right, beyond that expectations, right, in order to tackle this, right, you have to do a spread the data spread the data across the different GPUs, which can consume the enough memory, and sequentially processing. And next comes the pipeline parallelism. Pipeline parallelism talks about more sequential processing stages that has across GPUs for maximum utilizations. Now, We till now we talked more about distributed training, where we have three major strategies: data parallelism, model, and pipeline. Right? Most LLMs blend this to balance compute and computations. Let's say for sub 10 billion parameter models, right? Data plus pipeline parallelism usually gives the best return of investments. Distributed training efficiently determines whether your project is viable or not. That's why distributed training plays a very vital role in terms of your in your project, because that efficiency will be viable whether your parallel training has been capable of doing based on the infrastructure or not. So let's see, we- typically, every organization has their own priorities. So ho- my point is we are trying to blend this all this you know speed or memory or efficiency into a single architectures, not concentrating on a speed and or memory. As some organizations only tackle on the speed or a memory or a efficiency, but today I'm giving you much more detailed experiences on my use cases studies, right, where we seen most of the use cases that they should be taken care by all these three ones, like a speed, memory, efficiency. We pick up an individual model and did a lot of research on how, if we only concentrate on speed, what happens? If we only concentrate on memory, what happens? That's when we came up with this kind of strategies, that as a uh, that should be a very minimal or basic set for a healthy LLM deployment. Now let's talk dive deep about orchestration and hybrid elasticity. When it comes to the orchestration, the one thing that pop-ups our mind was nothing but a Kubernetes, because Kubernetes brings flexibility. It has a lot of internal features like auto scaling, fault tolerance, multi-tenant, you know, and dynamic resource allocations and scaling. As I talked about scaling, right? Depending upon the model, it should scale, whether it's a computing capacity, memory, or networking. I'm not going to dive deep about how we are going to do scaling, but this is very high level where we are. I'm going to talk about what is the orchestration benefits, in when you choose Azure AKS, right, for LLMs, and you have a fault tolerance and automatic recovery. Every node that has been fault injected will be auto recovered by itself when you go with the auto mode, and multi-tenant workload isolations, and it's a single click nowadays organizations are looking for a more of a single click deployments rather than a person who is going to go and control the deployment, right? And everybody is going to talk about automation is a key to success for any uh, systems, right? So yeah, what happens when you go for this orchestrations for Kubernetes orchestration LLMs, right? You no longer need to control the deployment like a person wise. So here, when you trigger this deployments, right, it's a single click deployment that the life cycle or the stages will automatically capable of doing it what it needs to do. We briefly talked about orchestration benefits, but in Azure, what is the service that plays a brings all these capabilities? That was nothing but an AKS. This AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service, provides GPU node pools specifically optimized for ML workloads. And here we are I just want to go provide some more details about Azure AKS, right? And here AKS is, as I said, AKS provides a GPU node pool specifically optimized for node uh, ML workloads, and hybrid is and multi-cloud elasticity is also playing a vital role for LLM deployments. So Azure is a primary compute for training in intense workloads, and in terms of, your data is having a sensitive data, right? We need to have a hybrid cloud. What does a hybrid cloud means? Where some part of the cloud is in a public cloud, and other part still runs in your on-premise with our own cloud controls. And how does the edge computing will bring these two together to a faster inference? That plays a vital role. So I have a use case where the computing bring the computing into inference workloads, primarily on the cloud. And because of the sensitive nature of the data, right, we still keep data processing and compliance requirements at the on-premise level, which is controlled by you know our are governed across our own protocols. And what happens when it comes to the edge computing is this edge computing will provide a low latency inferences for a real-time applications. So it's, if you look at a structure of any of the applications layers, right, we have two different batch layers as well as a real-time layer. So for a real-time layer, the low latency is a vital one, because you expect the responses in a faster time. That faster responses will optimize or will be controlled when you deploy your workloads at the edge computers. And and there is a service that provides all these capabilities in Azure. Azure Arcs enables this consistent management across this hybrid environments with a governance policies, unified governance policies that suits your organizations. And I can just give you a random example where one of the healthcare client used Arc to train in Azure, but serve locally for a HIPAA compliances. Okay, next slide. So this section connects with the ops and infra teams mostly. So let's talk about how we model into production reliably, right? So what is the 5 layers of any of the data life cycles, right? As I speak about data layers, right? Data life cycle layers. One is the data ingestions, and this data ingestion where you collect the data from a different types of you know in providers, right? So you need to blend, or you need to add the automated data validations and pre-processing pipelines need to be existed, so that what happens is the validation checks will done prior to the data coming into our you know uh, data lake layers. Next step would be model training. This distributed training, the experimental tracking and versioning. It talks about model training does talk about more of a distributed training with experiment tracking and versioning. Next comes the validations. This pipeline validation pipelines has more inferences about the automated testing and performance benchmarking. Next would be my deployments life cycles. This deployment life cycles has two types of things. Often people will go for a blue-green deployments with the canary releases. What is that? I just want to spend some time about blue-green deployments. So if you look at the blue-green deployments, right? What we are talking about. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is anyone is having a question?
Or we're okay. Just somebody else joined us there.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so next, blue-green deployments is having a two different stacks. One is a currently running stack, and one is another future-ready stacks, where you are going to deploy and the green stack with a permitted range of releases, like bringing a traffic, slowly moving a traffic, right? Not a swift gradual shift from one taking all at not all at once. Gradually, you are moving it at 10% traffic, 20% traffic, 30% traffic to see how the newer ones is going to do, you know, when compared to the older ones. You have an option to switch it back, if the things are not working as expected. So it's backout as well as we call it as a backout one. Next one is, next important, primarily important one we need to talk about is real-time performance and drift predictions that does in monitoring. Monitoring is also plays a vital role. So each and every LLM deployment need to be whatever you do a deployment, right, you need to, when you're it's going to the production, you need to be monitored. You need to go through a real-time performance tests and see how it is performing. How not only about, it's not only this real-time monitoring is not only about, functionality wise, it's also about infrastructure monitoring as well. Here it's this monitoring not only talks about, functionality wise, it talks about infrastructure, it talks about, your functionality application levels, it talks about your networking layers, and it talks about, any data quality, data monitorings, data drift predictions. Because in LLMs, what happens is every time there is a new parameter added, the data tuning or data training needs to be done automatically. And that's how the model has been built, that's how you have to, because every now and then the new parameter will get added. You can't just say, okay, these are the only few parameters I'm going to run it. So that, depending upon the use case, the parameters will also be modified. This slide talks more about a continuous model management, where it does the automated retraining, trigger retraining based on the data drift detections and performance thresholds. Model governance, model when it comes to the model governance, what happens is, you know your model should be a version controllable, and audit trails is to be in part of it, and compliance tracking. Every organization has a defined set of uh, rules and guidelines for their enterprise requirements, like HIPAA ones, right? GDPR guidelines, and and uh, and what is how the data is getting exposed, or how the has been tracking, how it has been, whether my prompt has been getting tracked or not. All this been bundled in the model governance layer. And performance monitoring, real-time latency, because when you publish or when you deploy this model, right, you also looking at the layer of real-time latencies, throughput, accuracy, and metrics, and automated alerting. So just take an example of, how ChatGPT works. Under the hood, it has a billions of parameters, and the latency it gives provides internally, it connects to the APIs, multiple APIs, right? And this slides primarily talks about some of the cost optimization strategies. Often we talked about different computing capacities or different computing things. We have it options we have in, for a LLM model deployments. Since for a single GPU, it took almost like 350 years. If you imagine 355 years of compute, so how many compute instances I'm not going to run, right? We need to have a defined strategy in order to reduce the cost, because some organizations which are very niche organizations, or which are startups, right, they can't spend huge amounts of money on the inferences. They have an options, there is a strategy which we have to follow in order to control the costs as well. This slide talks more about the strategies. One says spot instances for training. So where we can average, unreused Azure capacity. So if it is a batch training workloads, right, what happens is, see, the disadvantage of spot instances is it can go off at any point of time when the Azure team can take this instance when it is when they want it. So if your workload is having a batch based one where it can hold or it can tackle, or it can control that kind of a behavior, right? You can go for the cost of spot instances. Next we are going to talk about auto scaling inferences. Inference is nothing but when you are calling the real timing this model and getting the data back. And as I mentioned, we are giving a huge burdening on this modeling, right? So dynamically, it should be able to scale it on by itself in order to do a real-time scaling. Your model, whatever you are going to deploy, should be have a more of a dynamic scaling to determine on a demand patterns, because not every model can support this auto scaling inferences. It doesn't require auto scaling inference. It again goes back to what is your workload and how do you optimize it and how do you control the resource utilizations. But auto scaling inferences gives you much more advantages beyond this dynamic scaling, as well as cost as well. If and It can control your under the hood, all the computing mechanisms is also been controlled by a auto scalings. And if you are looking out for a long terms, right, long term commitments, right, you can go for reserved capacities where you will be. But the biggest challenge with this reserved capacities is you are going to lock for the specific number of times where you are already paying that cost upfront, and you try to be, if you want to increase in the between, if you want to say, okay, I have a workload where I need to typically try to increase the capacity. I need to increase the capacity. You have to look for the cost runs as well. This slide talks more about the implementation frameworks. This is a building framework which we proved. This is a proof framework which provides a certain layer of guidelines, right? One, for any implementation LLM deployment, right, we start with the assessment. We will evaluate the current infrastructure and we will see what are all my LLM requirements. And then comes with the strategy, then comes with the design, concrete design blueprints, and the cost modeling. So everyone, I've seen certain use cases in certain organizations where the cost is not being considered at the design layer. So we have to ahead understand the cost benefits or cost changes. When you are designing an architecture, right, architecture wise, you have to think through a certain layers. It's not about only, okay, when I'm building a scalable architecture, okay, I'm fine with it, but you have to have a cost modeling effect as well, whether my architecture is having is not burdening my company. Is it a controllable, or what is my return of interest on this design, and what is my how much I will go, I will come back, I will get it right, and then implementing it. Next comes the implementation phase, where you will deploy this infrastructure with automated provision. So we are in an era where we no longer need to do a controlled deployment. It should be all automated, and we are talking about billions of computing capacities, or how we are going to take these architectures and then our computing capacities and deploy it, right. It should be a single click which should be able to tackle all things at one at a time. Next comes with the optimizations. So every implementation, right, layer should have this monitoring, fine tuning, and scale based on the real world performance data. When we started with the pilot workloads, right, we did this assessment. I did these assessments and I created a designs, and I did a lot of implementations, optimizations, and gradually scaled to production volumes where maintaining the cost control and performance targets. With that, I just able to complete. This is our any questions. I'm pretty much excited to take any of the questions if you have. But this is a whole about how any of the organizations should start implementing this LLM cloud architectures, scaling on their Azure AI.
Satya, that was very great presentation, very interesting. Just wondering, anyone have any questions on that?
Another great presentation. Thanks for sharing.
I'm going to share this, the deck with folks. Thank you, guys. I
It's
mean,
perfect.
really.
I saw at the end you had the date and the show name, so thank you for the shout out and sharing that deck. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Thank you, guys.
That's great, Satya.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was nice presentation. That's good. That's nice. That was nice presentation. Yeah, nice.
Thank you. Thank you all. It was
Yeah.
my pleasure.
Yeah. Frank, can I go now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I was just want to upload my slide. Just few seconds. Just once. Sorry, I should have uploaded these things.
Charity's here too, Frank.
Yeah, I see that, Charity. How are you?
Well, how about you guys?
Very good. Thanks for joining.
Yes, thanks for
Uh,
having me. Azure is very, very technical, but definitely taking away some nuggets from it.
Definitely very complicated under the hood, isn't it?
Yes, I like that under the hood. Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
thankful that you guys know your stuff.
Thank you for joining this course. So we hope you also need to join us too and the Azure journey. Yeah.
Will do, will do.
Yeah.
For all the stuff I suppose Satya talked about there is kind of like
Yeah.
it's all under the hood AI stuff like with models and things like that. So we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, Frank, can you see my slide?
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, already it's good. Think
I don't see your
uh
slides. I see the screen.
yeah, I can't see it. Yeah, that's the same here.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay.
There
Yeah,
now.
all right. Good. Thank you very much. So good evening everyone. Once again, my name is Akboyemi Steven. Yeah. And so today I just want to briefly talk about the weaponizable file protection in Microsoft Teams, which is still at the preview stage. So that's what I'm going to be talking about just briefly. And then this is me. Yeah, I'm an IT professional. Yeah, so yeah, that's about me. And then now, so the purpose of this file protection it says it's a feature that blocks dangerous file types to prevent malware and enhance security in Microsoft Teams communication. Okay, so and then the scope level is it applies to chats and channels and then external collaboration. I think that's one of the beautiful things I think I just love about this. So that's what actually attracted me to it. And then I had the test run on my tenant and it was really cool. So yeah, so it's actually which in a situation maybe if we have like an external somebody who maybe you are collaborating with a vendor and maybe probably somebody is just trying to send a file which you are not even sure of the security of that file. So this particular feature, once you enable this file protection in your Microsoft Teams tenant, yeah, on the admin part, then it to protect such file, so that file will not be delivered to whomever is being sent to, maybe like you have an external collaborator, or maybe like have, maybe also internal, maybe somebody is just trying to send something which they are not actually even sure of, and that can actually cause a risk to the file in the organization. And then yeah, so it detects a notification. So what it does is that when it's being sent to the other person, you get a notification, but the file doesn't get delivered to you. So you get a notification letting you know that this file probably it contains a malware or something like that, and then it's going to be blocked. So messaging containing weaponizable file type are blocked. Both sender and recipient receive a notification. Now, security benefit, like I said, it reduces file-based attack risks and helps maintain a safe collaboration environment in the Microsoft Teams. Okay. And then the functionality, and its functionality, I think, is user friendly. Yeah. So the experience. So now, automatic message scanning. So what it does is that when that particular file is being attached, whoever is attaching that file, so what it does is that it scan that file. So immediately you hit send, you understand? So immediately you hit send. If it's within that particular file extension format that has been restricted, it's going to block that particular file. Okay, it's going to block that particular file. But it's just that I think now they've not done in such a way that you can add more. Like maybe if you want to add particularities, you want to add, let's say for example, I don't want anybody to send me JPEG files, I can add. So, but I think they've not really, done that. But like I said, it's still on preview, so it depends. So yeah, so and then sender and notification options. The sender receive clear notification explaining the block and can edit and resend messages without unsafe files. Recipient security indication. The recipient see an indication that content was blocked due to security, but cannot access the block file. So like I said, the recipient will get that notification, or this content has been blocked. And I think I find it a very useful feature, which I think is good, especially in terms of collaboration, like I said. So cross organization protection. I said file protected apply across organization in chats, ensuring consistent security for all participants. So which means that when you apply this particular, when you enable these particular features, it's enabled for all the users. So it's not like maybe you can apply it to just set of group of people. Maybe like, okay, I just want to test it on just set of group of people. So maybe in future, Microsoft, maybe they might probably do something like that. But now, once you enable that particular feature, it affects everyone across the organizations. Okay, so sorry about that. Configuration and block file types. Now, enabling file protection. So what you need to do, you need to go to your Microsoft, you need to go to the Microsoft Teams admin environment to enable these particular features, or you can use the PowerShell for it. I think I've tried to use the PowerShell, but it's not really working for me. Maybe I'm not doing the right thing, but I think I've tried use maybe I'll still try it one more time. Like I said, it's still on preview, so which means that they are still actually working on it. So blocked file type said the system blocks the extension linked to malware. Like maybe you have like the exit, you have the bat, you have the DLL. So any extension. So I mean, they've listed that particular extension. Like I said, it has been listed there already by default. So anyone that is there, any file you are trying to send that carries such kind of extension, will the automatically get blocked. Like I said, they've not done in such a way that maybe you can decide, okay, I don't want you to block this one. I just want to, just like your Microsoft purview security, where you can do file protection and all those things like that. So it's the one that they have at the moment that you just have to head to. So then you have standardized security approach. So block file is listed, is fixed, ensuring consistent protection across all teams, users, and tenant. risk reduction benefits. Say implementing these settings reduce file-based attack risks, ensuring collaboration environment. Okay, so this actually would reduce security, and that does not really stop other security measure that been applied in your environment in Microsoft Teams. Okay, so quickly I'll just jump up to the portal now, and then just do a demo on how you can enable that feature, and then we'll see how it works across the users when they are trying to send such kind of file. So I'm just going to close this now, and then I will share my screen. Please just let me know if you can see my screen. 1 second. Am I supposed to share entire screen? Oh, let me see.
Yeah, I can just still see your slides.
Okay, you can just see my slide, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the slides up.
Okay, my slides are up. Screen. Let me see. Now, can you see my screen?
Just the slides.
1 second there now. There you go.
Okay. So I'm just gonna stick. Can you see?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
So what can you see on my screen now?
I understand
We
what
see
you
the
need.
admin center.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Now StreamYard.
the screen. Okay. Can you see my admin portal?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. So that's what I want to be sure about. Okay. So now this is my admin portal. So what you just need to do is just come up here. You type normally your normal URL. You type your admin.cloud. I love to use this .cloud because I think Microsoft is going to change to that very soon. So, or you can do admin.microsoft.com. It takes you to the admin portal here. So when you do that, then you come up here and then go to your Microsoft Teams. So this is my Teams admin, so it's going to take me to my Teams admin. Or better still, like there's a shortcut for all this admin stuff. You can use that it's called cmd.mx, something like that if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so this one, cmd.mx. So here you can take, if you are going to Azure, you are going to Entra ID, Defender, Intune, M365. So all the shortcut, all the command are there. All you just need to do is click on it, and it should take you to that particular place. So all this one is for the admin environment. So you can also make use of this. This is quite handy also. So now this is my Teams admin center. So now I need to enable that particular feature. Okay, but before I do that, this is a user here. Before I do that, I just want to choose something out. This is my user here. This is one of the user here. Okay, now I have a file type which is dot. If I come up here now, I say okay, I want to attach a file. Click on this place here. Say attach file, and then this should take me to say, okay, attach from this device, and then I'll go to my download. So now this is a file type. Now if you look at this file type, this is file type, this is .ba bat. So if I click on that and attach it, now it will say file type upload fail is empty. Okay, sorry, let me use another one. I just want to show you how it's going to be before we enable that, if that file protection. Okay, let me use another. I'm going to use this one here. So if I'm going to use this one now, you can see now, if I come up here and then click on send, you see I'm sending. This is a file type that is included, but I can see I'm sending this successfully. Nothing is being blocked. Whoever I'm sending it to, which is the user I'm chatting will definitely want to receive that. Okay, so I just want to show you that. So I'm just going to delete that one now. I'm just going to delete it from the chat. So now, so when you come under your Microsoft, when you come to your Teams admin center, you come up here where you have your messaging. Okay, you come to your messaging. So this is where you now come up here and then click on your message settings. So you go to your message settings to enable that particular feature, you come up here. But like I said, this is still on preview, so I will not advise you go and enable it on the production environment. Okay, it's still on preview, which Microsoft, I think they're still working on it. So maybe when it's uh, on the public view, then you can give it a try and see if it's one thing you like. But if you have your like your developer tenant, so you can just test it and then see how it works. So come up here, you have your messaging safety. You can see this, you can see here it's still showing preview. So that's said that it's on preview. So when you come up here, you have scan messages for file types that are not allowed. I'll enable this feature. You can see you come up here again, scan messages for unsafe link. You enable that feature, and then report incorrect security detection. You enable those three options. Okay, so these are the things you are going to enable. So once you enable this feature, that it takes time when you turn it off. When you turn it off, it takes time to maybe you want to test it, you don't turn it on, and then you now go back, you want to turn it off. It will take time to synchronize for now. So once you turn it on, it's going to tell you, are you sure you want it to be on? Yes. So if you now go back and say you want to turn it off, make you know that you have to stay like maybe I think when I did my own, it took me like almost like 2 days to get synchronized. So for that, so I'll just click on save. You can see here is asking you, changes might take some time to effect, which is true. So at times might be fast. So changes in messages settings, we have an impact across organization and cannot be rolled back immediately. So this is what I'm saying. It cannot be rolled back immediately. So you have to be sure if you really want to do that, because once you enable that settings, it's going to affect every user in that tenant who are trying to send such kind of files. So I'll click on confirm, and then that should be enabled for me. So you can see, say your changes were saved. So it means that it's now enabled for me. So now I'm just going to bring out my users and then test with these two users I have in my tenant. And let me see if that's going to work quickly. So I'm going to bring out these two users. So I have two users here. Okay, let me just. Okay, so these are my two users. In this is Moses and this is James. Okay, so now James is going to be chatting with Moses. But before I do that, I'm just going to open my notepad. Under my notepad, I'll just maybe just create like that kind of a bat file or .exit file. So let me just say test me, test me. Just click on that, and now I'll click on save, Control S. I'm just trying to create that file for test. So here I can now say, okay, testing.exe. Can you see that now? So that is the file type I want to use. Okay, I'm just going to create that kind of that file, and now click on my save. I'm just creating that file for test. So I'm just going to close this one. So once I do that, I'll now come to my team. So let's assume James is trying to send message to Moses, and he said, oh, hi, hi, and then he come up here and say, okay, this is this is the file. And then he comes here and then come up here and he said attach files, upload from this device, and then you come up here. This is the file I created now, testing, and now click on open. Now you can see it's going to scan that file. I just hope it should be able to work faster. Now click on send. Now so yeah, so I think it's taking time. That will take time to sync. Or okay, you know what I'm going to do? Let me log out these users. Sorry, let me just delete. So it might probably take time uh to effect. But let me just log out this user. Let me sign out these users and then sign in back. And then let's see. Hopefully that works immediately. Because I've tested it anyway, so it was quite very fast from my side. So here I'm going to sign in back to that users, sign into this, and then My authenticator, the matching number. Then sign into this user requires. So now let me just test that again. Hopefully it should work. So like might take time to fake, but let me try that one more time. So attach files on here, and that's gonna come up here. Dot. So the reason I'm using that dot bat because it's dot exist because it's part of that file extension I was listed in the Microsoft document. Okay, so that's why I use that. So let me see, and then now let me try to send. Oh, it's still sending. So so I think it's just taking time to replicate. So it's taking time. It's taking time to effect. But let me try this other one and see. Yeah, this that's let me see this one. No, this is not this error. Let me try the other file. Maybe I should have not disabled it back before this. Okay, let me go back. Think I have one here. Let me use this. Let's see if that's gonna work. Okay, so yeah, so that's it. So it's just taking time to replicate because normally when you enable that particular effect, it takes time to sync. So it takes time to work. It doesn't work that immediately. Maybe I should have just I leave it when I enabled when I was testing my. So yeah, yeah. So I think that's all for that. Yeah. So any question? So when you do that, like I said, it just takes time, and then you can just go back and try it. If it doesn't work, then it should work. Yeah, definitely. I've tried it before, and it's worked perfectly for me.
There's
Okay.
a lot of hurry up and wait with Teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of those changes you don't want to be, immediate.
Yeah.
And if it's scale, a company of a few people versus a company of thousands of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you, guys. Thank you.
it's a very long show this evening.
Yeah.
Speakers, yeah.
Two long shows.
So
Same day.
I'm just going to share my screen, and I'm just going to show about because Charity was asking about the free certification, and I mentioned it earlier on in the show. So I'll just share my screen there, and we'll go through how to get a free voucher to get a Microsoft exam.
Thanks, Frank. Appreciate you walking me through this.
Yeah, no worries. Now, can you see my screen there?
Yep.
Yep.
So, yeah, so I kind of shared that link earlier with you, but I'll share it with other people on the LinkedIn there when we finish. So this skills up with levelup.com, right? They have this on their Microsoft, and they're sponsored by Microsoft. So they're hosting all these things. So as you can see here, certification, prep, on demand, cloud and AI platforms plus security. So it's all around these things, cloud, AI, and security. So I was telling you to get a free exam voucher, you have to complete your course with 80% of the practice test to earn your free voucher. Okay, so just below then is all of the different courses that you can do. And they're all, the time inside them is 10 hours. So I know it's a bit of time to do them, but 10 hours and you get a free certification. But the part that you have to do, right, is we'd say if you're going to do a course in a particular area, we say the Azure AI platforms. So if you go over to Microsoft Learn, right, and they have, we'll say this one here is one I've done this year. It's the AI 900. It's the Azure AI Fundamentals. It's the first one. Okay, so this is on the Microsoft Learn side. I think I should probably have logged in, but it doesn't matter. It gives you what the course is, and this is the part down here, practice for the exam.
Sorry.
So when you go in here, and you can actually take a practice exam, and you can take it as many times as you like. And if you get over 80%, they will give you the free voucher. So there is the 80% here. So that's the part. So you have to do your 10 hours, then take the practice exam. And if you get over 80%, they'll give you your free voucher. Any questions on that?
Nope. Thank you. So appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Frank. I think it's quite. I think it's very good. I think I've done one. I've gotten like one voucher from there, but just trying to schedule. But before that, I think I actually scheduled an exam which I paid for before I got to know about this. 300% free voucher. Yeah, but it's good anyway. Yeah, it's fine. Thank you.
Hopefully that cuts down on the no-shows or the unprepared,
Yeah, so like if you're going to invest 10 hours on doing one of these courses, you're going to do the exam then afterwards, definitely.
Right.
Yeah. So whereas then you were kind of saying before, so if you're handed a free voucher, you might not bother going to do it because you didn't put in any work. But this way, if you put in the 10 hours work and you get the free voucher, you're going to go to do the exam.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I know I am. That's my goal next week.
Okay. And are you interested in any particular one?
I think it was the GitHub sparked my attention. Working on the project management side, and business analyst side, and there was another one too.
Oh, wow.
The fundamentals ones count forever. So if you take like Azure fundamentals or Microsoft 365 fundamentals, those don't ever expire.
Oh, fundamentals. Let's keep that in mind.
Certifications.
Yeah, I don't think they have any of the fundamentals on this particular one, though, do they?
Okay, it's all the higher ones.
These are all associate.
Okay.
But I think we're nearly 2 hours on it. But I was going to do the thing on the
Excel, right?
Yeah.
The agents.
So this is pretty quick anyway. Okay, so I won't keep you too long more. So if you open up your Excel, you need to have a Copilot Pro license. Okay. So you could open up this one here is inventory records for kind of students school or for products like laptops, monitors, keyboards. So I'm just going to open up the Copilot. and it's given us a few suggestions here. Look, I'm just going to ask it, like, if you want to analyze the data set, right, you're going to have to come up with a prompt and say, look, I want to know how many laptops are in stock, or how much the unit price of all the laptops or stuff like that. So I'm just going to ask Copilot to make me a prompt. So basically, you don't have to do the thinking about it. You'll try and get Copilot to do the prompt for you. I've done this previously now, and it actually did. So create a prompt for sales trends. Make a prompt to identify product. Generate a prompt for profit margin. Okay, so we'll just hit the create a prompt for sales trends and analysis. So Copilot is doing all the thinking for you, right? So now we have our prompt here, right? Analyze the sales trends in this inventory data set. Identify which products have increasing or decreasing sales over time. Okay, I won't read it all. I'm just going to grab it. Okay. I'm just going to copy it. Okay, so we just go up here then to click into our data set, and we go to insert, and we click on table, right? Because we want a table. Okay, so now it's after giving us all the tabs across the thing so we can use it to interrogate it. So we go back here then to home, and we go all the way over here to add-ins. Okay, so it's going to give you a load of these things here, popular ones. So we're going to scroll down along until we find there's actually loads of them there. Okay, so we'll use GPT for Excel and Word, and you just click on add, okay, and okay, so more options. Okay, so we'll go for this one here. Yeah, so here it comes up then with agent mode, right? So that's what we want to open. So we'll just click on that one. And here we have the agent mode in, right? And then I'm just going to pop in our prompt that Copilot done first there, and we'll just hit the go button. And that's going to analyze our data set then, and then it's going to do all the hard work for us, like, whereas Copilot will kind of only do individual things for you, like, you know, search, we say, like laptops and things like that, or highlight different rows. Whereas agent mode is going to analyze the whole data set, and it's going to give you charts and all these lovely stuff that you want for data science sort of stuff. So it takes a few seconds or so before, depending on the size of your data set. So this data set I have here is small enough, so it shouldn't take too long. So that list that I went into earlier of the add-ons, I went into that yesterday, and there was only half the amount that was in there. So it's evolving very fast. So here we can see it's finalizing the chart setup and should be nearly there. So it's when it's finished and we say if you go into any one of these things here afterwards and we say we change the number of 50, it will actually change everything across the whole data set, even in charts and everything. So it's very it's doing all the heavy lifting for you that you normally do, kind of you want charts and you want pivot tables and you want all this kind of nice stuff. Agent mode is going to do it for you. So I think it's kind of one of the best things I've seen in Excel so far since AI kind of evolved. But I suppose if you were to do what this is going to do, it would probably take you probably maybe half a day. And depending how good you are in Excel. So it's saying it's finalizing analysis and updates. So we'll see there's
Yeah,
another.
Excel's one of those apps that I know a little bit about, but I'd say maybe intermediate. Definitely not advanced.
Yeah, there's another tab after popping up down the bottom there now. We'll see.
Very cool.
So this is, it's after putting in another row here. And like this, if we scroll across, you can see now it's after giving us all the different charts. And it's giving us units sold. So it's telling us here on the right then what's it's after creating new worksheet called sales analysis. That's what I went into down the end there that time, and it's kind of telling us it's after giving us a bar chart, 15 products by sold, and it's after giving us a scatter plot, and it's kind of after telling us all the different stuff that it actually went down. Sales on demand, inventory actions, enable trends. So you can see all products that sold, how this was produced. So like we were only waiting about 2 minutes for it to do all this kind of stuff here. Like, so if you had to do that manually, you'd be there a while, I'd say.
Yeah.
So from this to that is agent mode. And that's the end of the demo.
Yeah, so that's quite amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to show that stuff, the output quickly, just before we end the show. Let me just share my screen so viewers can see what's the scope of that. Just 1 second. Okay, I don't know. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, can see it.
Okay, so if you see now, so when you enable that particular effect, so this is from the user experience. So here you can see this a notepad stuff, and this is exit file that was sent a user. So you can see the notification. I said this message was blocked because it contained a file type that is not permitted. So really, any user you're sending, any whoever is sending this particular file, either an external collaborator, so they get this particular notification, and then the recipient will actually get this message saying that this message was blocked because it contains a file type that, I mean, that is not permitted. So this is what they get. So you can see they don't get to receive the file, but they get to receive the security notification notifying them that the file that was about to send to you by this XY user, by this XY person, is not permitted. Okay, so that's how it should be once that effect gets sync, and once you get sync. So this is what you should be seeing. Yeah, so that's why this is the Microsoft. I think I put it on the chat. So Frank, if you could also
Yeah,
display the link there. So this is
sure.
the link for that particular, so Microsoft documentation, which you can actually uh have a look and then see how it works. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
very
that's
good.
off now. Okay. Cool. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I'll put that in the LinkedIn.
No, okay.
Cool, Frank.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeez, that's
I think we are hitting the record now. Not taking past. This is close to like 2 hours. Yeah. Our power week I think
Second
was like
event
that.
of
Then
three
this week.
today.
So
So
yeah. So I think
Yeah.
we're making progress because a lot of people coming in and presenting, and then yeah.
my next stop is
So
Japan.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Are
Running
you,
over it.
is that virtual
Japan
then? Is
MCT
it?
Day.
That's virtual, is it?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
virtual.
yeah.
I wouldn't be able to make it if it were in person.
No.
So I think before we go, I think Dan, I don't know if you can just tell us more about the YouTube stuff. Can you give us like snippet? Like I saw your message about this quite quickly. I subscribed to it. I can't wait to see
Yeah, I
the
was trying to
content
find
there.
everybody that was sharing it and
So I
comment
think you can
on the
Okay,
event. That was great.
everyone. I'm going to end the live stream.
onto
Thanks
my
everyone
mic.
for joining us. Long session, but a lot in there as well. Okay, see you guys next week.
See you later.